Welcome in, everyone. I'm SquishableMoon, your shooting star alien VTuber with the ranch addiction, fewer brain cells than the common garden snail. And howdy ho, welcome back to my video, superstars. And I want to thank you guys so freaking much for all the amazing and wonderful comments you have been giving me. Each one I try and reply to as fast as I can because I genuinely love talking to new people. It makes my day, and seeing y'all's comments makes me so freaking excited to make the next video. With that being said, sorry that I don't have much of an upload schedule. I know that must be a little annoying. I try to upload a video once a week, but sometimes videos take longer, or I just cannot make one because my brain will not allow me. You know how creative block can be a little annoying, but whatever. And also, I wanted to thank you guys for showing up to my live stream on Monday. It was very amazing. I'm sorry that I don't have community set up in place for my younger viewers. I know it's a little annoying that my live streams and Discord are 18 plus, while my YouTube is family friendly. But I want to thank you guys for being so respectful of that and making sure to not join my live streams or my Discord when you are underage. I haven't had any problems with it so far, and I just want to say you guys are the bee's knees. Keep up the good work. I love you guys so much. Let's get into the video. And today we are going to be doing one of the last videos for my Forgotten Mark syndrome. That is right. I am getting to the end of my Forgotten Mark syndrome. So far we've seen Twilight, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack, which means we are done with the main 6 for the show. We've completed basically all the main characters, aside from like Starlight Glimmer and Sunset Shimmer, but those are kind of add-ons to the main 6 that I haven't really touched on yet. And like I promised, I am going to be doing a couple more videos that aren't the main 6, just so that way we could have a little bit more fun with what we are doing. I really like a lot of the side characters along with the main characters, so I really wanted to make sure to do some of the side characters as well, because I know a lot of people love the side characters, especially me. My favorite side character is Muffins, or also called Derpy, and Dr. Hooves. I love them to bits. I think they're cute. And I know a lot of people love Lyra and Bon Bon. So I want to make sure to do characters that people love, but also characters that I love. And before we get into what characters I am doing, like in every video, I'm going to explain Forgotten Mark Syndrome. If you want to see my entire AU, there is a playlist that you can watch starting from the beginning with Twilight Sparkle. Forgotten Mark Syndrome is based off of a real illness called Cubgrass Syndrome. I used Cubgrass Syndrome as kind of a template to make my own illness, since I didn't have very much experience making my own illness, and I thought it would be more interesting to mix real life with in show, so that way it would come off more realistic. If you don't know, Cubgrass Syndrome, also known as delusion of doubles or imposter syndrome, is a rare psychotic disorder that causes people to believe that their loved ones have been replaced by identical imposters. The imposter can also be inanimate objects, animals, friends, and family. The belief is so strong that nothing can really correct it, which I found really interesting. I have never heard of this illness before until I started searching up interesting illnesses to use for my AU. If you know anyone with Cubgrass Syndrome, feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to hear about it. Now, Forgotten Mark Syndrome is very similar. Ponies get Forgotten Mark Syndrome by being bit by an unreformed changeling, and the venom that they have makes them believe that their friends and family have been replaced by changelings, or that their cutie mark has been replaced by another cutie mark, or that somebody else has their cutie mark. The illusion is so strong that basically nothing can correct it until now. So the characters that I have picked, instead of just having one character or double characters like in the Fluttershy and Discord video, I am going to be taking on the task of doing 3 characters in one video. And I am going to be doing the Shining Armor family. That's right, we're going to be doing Shining Armor, Cadence, and Princess Flurry Heart. And I am so excited to do this because I love their family dynamic. It is not often we get super happy, family-friendly, adorable families like this in media, and I love their family to bits. I know there was a little bit of controversy with Princess Flurry Heart being born an alicorn, but I absolutely love Flurry Heart. I think she's adorable. She is a menace, and she is going to be spoiled rotten when she is older. We are going to start with Shining Armor first, mainly because I have more an idea for what I want to do with him than what I want to do with Mi Amore Cadenza, and so we're going to start with him first. So, Shining Armor is Twilight's older brother. I'm unsure how much older he is, but I'm gonna guess by a couple of years. He is also one of Twilight's best friends, so it makes sense that during this AU, him and Twilight would have been in contact of some kind. Obviously, because he is family, he is going to be overly worried about Twilight having forgotten Mark syndrome. But that's not where we're going to start off in this AU for him. This actually starts off during a Canterlot wedding. If you don't know, that is an episode where Shining Armor sends Princess Twilight an invitation to his wedding, and Twilight goes and finds out that he is marrying Princess Mi Amore Cadenza, or Cadence, her young fool sitter who would babysit her when she was younger. But throughout the day, she starts to worry that Cadence is acting really odd and that she's not acting herself, or that she isn't right for Shining Armor because she's being mean to all her friends, or at least being very passive aggressive. And during all this, she has an angry outbreak while in one of the halls in Canterlot and says that Princess Cadence is a liar or isn't who she says she is. And of course, Cadence breaks down and everyone blames Twilight for this. But come to find out, Cadence is not actually Cadence. She is actually a changeling who trapped the real Cadence underground in some weird catacombs. Twilight finds this out and gets Cadence out, and they save the day by getting Cadence and Shining Armor to use both of their magic, the magic of true love, and they banish all of the changelings out of Canterlot. Now, something I want to talk about a little bit is how their love banishes the changelings. Because changelings, we know, need love in order to sustain themselves, but using their love, they are able to banish them out of Canterlot, which is really great using one of Shining Armor's spells. Shining Armor being very good at protection spells, I'm assuming that is the magic he is good at, is protection magic, which would make sense because he's called Shining Armor, which is used to protect people. Makes sense with his cutie mark as well, being a shield. So I like to think that the magic that he is best at is protection magic. So one thing that was really interesting was during this time of the Canterlot wedding, the changeling called Chrysalis looked, of course, like Cadence, but was using her magic to mind control Shining Armor, lying to say that it was to help his headaches because he's been using his magic 24/7. But I actually like to think that during this time, she was actually trying to turn him into a changeling himself. She was trying to use her magic to convert him into a changeling. She was mixing her essence with his, similar to how Twilight had to mind meld with Chrysalis to try and figure out how to stop the Forgotten Mark syndrome. This is a similar process, however, it was being done from Chrysalis to Shining Armor to turn him into a changeling. Now, you'd be like, why would Chrysalis want to turn him into a changeling? Let's think about the song that she was singing, how at the end she's like, I still want him to be all mine. Changelings are inherently very selfish when they are not reformed. And I like to think that regardless of how she felt for Shining Armor, she wanted his love. She wanted all of him. So it makes sense if he could turn him into a changeling and then maybe feed off of his love forever, or at least take the love away from all of the ponies. taking his love away from Cadence, taking his love away from his sister. All of his love would basically be hers, and no one would be able to take it from her. So it would make sense that she'd want to turn him into a changeling. So during this time, she was fusing her essence into him. Of course, she was stopped thanks to Twilight, Cadence, and all her friends. They used the magic of friendship and love to cast out all of the changelings and save Equestria once again from being overrun. And I think that's amazing. But this left Shining Armor with residue magic of changeling magic of the Queen. So Queen Chrysalis had fused some of her magic into Shining Armor, and now it didn't show up right away. I like to think this is something that showed up very late in the show, where he started to get blotches all over his skin, and he started turning into a changeling himself. Now, you may be wondering, what caused him to all of a sudden turn into a changeling? I like to think that Shining Armor went to see Twilight and tried to use his magic in order to basically protect Twilight from either herself or other people because of how scared she was. Because Twilight was absolutely paranoid about everyone, her brother being one of the only people she would want to see during this time, it makes sense that he would try to put a protection spell around her to protect her, to make her feel better, and to maybe calm her down a little. However, when using his magic, it almost, in a way, it interacted with the magic he had used on himself. So he used the protection spell to protect Twilight, but instead it bounced off and bounced onto him. Because they are blood related and had similar magic, it intertwined the two of them and made his changeling magic come out. So all of a sudden, he started getting a lot of black spots on his skin, similar to Twilight, started getting holes in his flesh, and started to look a lot more like a changeling. His hair darkened, he started growing fangs, he looked a lot more aggressive, he got taller. A lot of the similar symptoms that Twilight had, except he didn't have Forgotten Mark syndrome. It was all of the symptoms, but he wasn't bit. This was because of the magic chrysalis infused into him, and there was nothing that they could do. Of course, he did not need to feed off of love because he had enough love in himself to be completely fine. But, of course, this was a very big, startling fact for Cadence when she saw him. But of course, because Cadence is the power of love, and I feel like she should be the element of love herself, he and her relationship completely fine. They were completely fine. Of course, it was a shock. The baby absolutely did not care. Flurry Heart was okay with this. She did not care. She's just like, Dad is multicolored now. Who cares? This is fine. But it had more to do with his physical appearance than his actual internal magic being affected, like Twilight, where she fused her mind with Chrysalis and got some of Chrysalis's magic and some of Chrysalis's memories. This is different. However, Shining Armor did not get any of that. All he did was change physically, growing a little bit more black spots on his skin and looking more changeling-like than he would like to appear. But it wasn't as scary as Twilight's transformation because he just looked like a multicolored horse. There wasn't anything too scary other than his fangs. So he got off a lot easier than Twilight did. And now on to Cadence, or Princess Mi Amore Cadenza, as some of you have reminded me. Yes, I usually use her smaller name. I like Cadence. It's a cute name, but I like her long name too. But I absolutely love Princess Cadence. I have loved her since the moment I saw her. I had no idea that there was another princess until they brought it up, and I thought that was freaking so cool. I thought Celestia and Luna were the only princesses in the entire kingdom, but woo, lo and behold, we have Princess Cadence. I'm unsure if there's more lore about Princess Cadence that I'm not getting because I haven't read the comics or watched all of the shows, but I'm working with the information that I have just from watching Friendship is Magic and older type My Little Pony shows. I am still watching Make Your Mark and some of the newer ones, but of course I am working with the information I got. So if I get anything a little bit mixed up, my apologies. So I want Princess Cadence to be a new element. I honestly believe that Cadence should have been the element of love herself, because that is what her power works on. Her power is love oriented. Her power gets stronger with love. And I think it's a really important part in my AU is dealing with Cadence. I truly believe that Cadence loves Shining Armor with her full heart. Cadence would never do anything to hurt her husband, and I feel like she is just full of nothing but love for them. So like I said in my AU, she's gonna make a very important character because of her element of love. Cadence is going to be able to go head on with any unreformed changelings. During this time, unreformed changelings are going to start to make their own hive and try to seek out their queen, which is Queen Chrysalis, to try and get her unmade out of stone, so that way they can make a new hive and start over, because the hive that they have, the changeling hive, has been taken over by the reformed changelings, and they're all good and nice, and they're not going to be able to use that. There's so very few unreformed changelings now that it is basically them against the world. There's only a handful of them in my AU. Probably like, let's say 10 or 20. There's not very many, and they stand little to no chance against all of the other ponies on their own without Queen Chrysalis to make new drones. And another important thing about Princess Cadence is she actually is going to be the key to curing Forgotten Mark Syndrome. That is right. I have been hinting that there would be a cure in the future, and Princess Cadence is the one to do it. Thanks to Princess's Cadence, magic and magical love, all of her magic dealing with love, it makes sense that she'd be the one to cure Forgotten Mark Syndrome. She is going to be able to use her magic of love and infuse it into the people with Forgotten Mark Syndrome and slowly nurse them back to health, curing them and making them finally break whatever was going on, which I think is a really good part for her, because I know that Princess Cadence rules over the Crystal Empire and the Crystal Ponies, but I always felt like we never got to see much of her in the show, and I always wish we got to see more. Also, I don't know how Princess Cadence got her alicorn magic. I'm not sure. I've never researched it. Like I said, I'm working with the information I got from Friendship is Magic, so working with what I got, guys. Working with what I got. So I really wanted her to be a really important part in the story. So she is going to be able to cure Forgotten Mark Syndrome. Not only that, but it is going to make her the one pony that all of the unreformed changelings are going to hate the most. They are going to hate her with a passion. They are going to want her gone, cease to exist, obliterated from the planet. With this, she and Shining Armor are going to have to use their magic to constantly keep up a bubble like at the royal wedding, just to keep not only her, but her child safe. During this time, Cadence is also going to grow a little bit bigger to be more similar to Luna and Celestia, because she is a lot older now. And I feel like Shining Armor is also going to be a little bit bigger as well. I feel like because Cadence is going to have to use so much of her magic, her cutie mark will, of course, maybe grow a little bit bigger. Her wings are going to be a little bit bigger. And of course, her magic is going to grow because of all of the magic she's going to have to be using. With Cadence's magic, she will also be able to force unreformed changelings to be reformed. With her love spell, she'll be able to strike them down and make them reform if she so pleases. But because Cadence, I feel like, isn't that type of person or pony, she is always going to tell them that there is a way out. She is always going to give them the option to reform or to try and reform when battling against them, because she never wants to force something onto someone that she doesn't want, that they don't want. If she believes that they don't want to be reformed, she really won't use her magic unless she absolutely has to. If somebody is attacking, say, her child or her husband, she may be forced to use her magic to reform them in some type of way because they are too far gone. Princess Cadence, of course, will rush over to Princess Twilight's castle to use her magic and eventually works out curing her. Of course, she is only able to cure her of the Forgotten Mark Syndrome, and she is not able to cure her of the changeling magic herself. Twilight will forever be part changeling. and no magic will be able to separate it because their minds have been too intertwined to separate without doing further damage. But with the thanks of Cadence magic, it seems that everything will be fine. It will just take time and people will heal. Alright, now we're gonna go on to probably my favorite part of this video, which is Princess Flurry Heart. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Some of you probably do not like Flurry Heart because she felt like kind of a cash grab to some people, and I can see where you're coming from. You have to remember that Hasbro, for most, is a toy company, and they gotta market toys to little kids. So some people feel like Flurry Heart was just another way to make toys, and I completely can see where you're coming from. But also, I think Flurry Heart was a really adorable addition to the show. I was at first a little standoffish that she was an alicorn because it feels like a very special thing that you can't just give to every character. But at the same time, realistically, there aren't that many alicorns in Equestria. We have Celestia, we have Luna, we have Cadence, we have Twilight, and now we have Flurry Heart. So that is only five alicorns in the whole entire world that we know of. Not including, you know, the alicorns that we see in Make Your Mark. Let's forget about, exclude that. Exclude the new show and just 5 alicorns, okay? We see 5 alicorns. Most of the time, it's only 1 alicorn on the screen at a time. And so we have 5. We have 5 alicorns. That's really not that many in the grand scheme of things. There's so many other ponies that it just kind of... The only reason we think there's so many alicorns is because we see them so often. And it feels like there's a lot of alicorns, but what I'm trying to say is I'm cooling off because there's really not that many alicorns. But it did feel like a special thing to give Flurry Heart alicorn magic at birth because it had never been done before. No other alicorn had been born with alicorn magic, so Flurry Heart was a new thing. That was a whole new thing. They had no idea alicorns could be born. We thought that alicorns all had to be made, which I think is a really interesting concept. I don't think we ever truly figured out why Flurry Heart was an alicorn. It must have just been some weird genetic thing, but then again, I don't think any of the other alicorns have children. Celestia doesn't have children. Luna doesn't have children. Twilight, of course, doesn't have children unless you include like Spike, but some people see Spike as a kid that is the son of Twilight, and then some people see it as a sibling. So I don't know if you count that or not, but none of them have had kids that we know of. So Flurry Heart would be the first alicorn child to come from an alicorn. So is it possible that just alicorns, when they have kids, it just happens to produce other alicorns? I don't know. You tell me. No idea. Just a theory. But anyway, into Flurry Heart, I'm going to be a basic because I really I like Flurry Heart being a changeling. I'm gonna say I like the idea of Flurry Heart being part changeling. So Flurry Heart in my AU is part changeling. Now, it isn't found out right away that she's a changeling. She isn't born as a changeling with changeling magic. She is surrounded by love constantly, and it overwhelms the changeling side of her, so it never comes out. However, later on, we find out that, of course, this is going on during when all of the Forgotten Mark Syndrome stuff is going on, maybe a little bit after Cadence is able to cure most of the people who have Forgotten Mark Syndrome. They're getting it under control. The pandemic isn't as bad. When all of a sudden, Flurry Heart, okay, this is like a couple years in the future. Flurry Heart is like, I don't know, let's say like, what age do ponies get their cutie marks, what is it, like age 8, age 10, you know, around 5 to 10. You know, she's a young foal. She's a little bit older. She's about the age of Sweetie Belle, Scootaloo, and Apple Bloom. Oh my god, I forgot her name. Oh my god, I'm always forgetting her name. So she is finally getting her cutie mark. However, while getting her cutie mark, she learns that she can turn into a changeling. That is right. She is a bit of an early bloomer. She is getting her cutie mark a little bit younger than most foals. And during this time, it unleashes her changeling magic. Now, I know what you're gonna say. Why does she have changeling magic? Is she actually Queen Chrysalis's child? No. I assure you that isn't. There was no cheating going on to make her part changeling, I assure you. Cadence is very much her mother, and Shining Armor is very much her dad. However, when Shining Armor was under the influence of Queen Chrysalis, you remember how I said he was infused with changeling magic? This happened before Cadence was pregnant. And he had no idea, of course. Nobody had any idea of the long-term effects of being infused with Chrysalis's magic for that long. Shining Armor was infused with changeling magic. And during the conception of Flurry Heart, she was also infused with changeling magic. Unlike Shining Armor, she is able to fully transform into a changeling, being an alicorn changeling, and being the rival of Queen Chrysalis. That is right, she is a queen changeling. She isn't just a regular drone changeling. No, she is a lot more similar to Queen Chrysalis than even Twilight is. Firstly, because she was born an alicorn, and she was born half changeling, unlike Twilight. She is going to be the first rival that Queen Chrysalis has ever seen. Not only that, but Flurry Heart is surrounded by love constantly. She has no need to seek out other people to get her love from because her mother is so full of love that she's constantly full, which is one of the reasons I feel like it took her so long to realize that she could transform into a changeling. But yeah, she is going to be part changeling. I feel like this won't change much. I feel like Flurry Heart as a child is very rambunctious. She is kind of bratty because she's the only child. She is definitely spoiled rotten from Twilight, her favorite aunt, and who knows how spoiled she is from her parents. I feel like when she is older, she is going to be a little bit of a brat, but she is going to be a good person deep down. But as a child, children are just born kind of selfish. They're more worried about themselves than other people. That's just a normal part of growing up. So when she realizes she is part changeling, she isn't going to be a reformed changeling. She is going to be an unreformed changeling. Of course, in the future, I believe that she will be reformed one day, but it is not now. But yeah, what do you guys think? I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted there to be more changeling aspects into the AU. And I am only going to be doing one more video on this AU before it is all completely over. So I want you to comment down below which background pony would you like to see a video on before I completely end this series. Of course, there's some other stuff I want to do that connect to this series but aren't directly related. But yeah, what did you guys think? Flurry Heart changeling, yay or nay? Did you like Flurry Heart to begin with? I'd love to know. With that being said, I hope all your dreams come true, guys. Love you. Bye-bye.